Hey guys, I'm Nate from Nate Bakes Broadway, and in honor of Halloween, this week we will be doing one of my favorite shows of all time, Wicked. Let's do it. Wicked is one of my favorite shows of all time. It follows loosely the story of the Wizard of Oz, but it really focuses on the backstories of the Good Witch and the Wicked Witch. And it's just a really interesting idea that they turned into a musical with amazing music. But instead of talking about the plot, I want to talk about a couple of fun facts that I've learned actually pretty recently that I think you guys will enjoy. The first one is that there's actually a movie of Wicked supposedly coming out in 2021. We'll see because of the pandemic, but like a man can hope 2021, something to look forward to. And actually also, they were both nominated in 2004, Chenoweth and Idina Menzel for Best Actress in a Musical, because of course they were both amazing. I wish I had seen them. If only I'd been alive, you know. And then actually, Somewhere Over the Rainbow, the first 7 notes of that song are in the song Unlimited in Wicked. But after 7 notes, it becomes copyright infringement, so they couldn't do 8. But actually, it's over different chords and rhythms. You might not recognize it, but if you don't believe me, go check it out. It's pretty cool. Another cool fact is that Idina Menzel actually missed her last performance because she fell down a trapdoor and had to be rushed to the hospital, which I know is terrible, but people then thought there was the curse of playing the Wicked Witch because the person who had played the Wicked Witch in The Wizard of Oz, the movie, had suffered severe burns during filming, so, I don't know, weird. I guess we'll never know. But, yeah, I don't know, there are a lot of really cool fun facts about Wicked. If you're interested, there are so many more, so many more. My friend had like a whole list of them. I was like, oh my God, I have to share these. But let's get started with the dessert. I mean, you guys are gonna love it. Let's do it. So the dessert this week is actually pistachio sponge. It's green, you know, obvious reasons. And then it's gonna have a thick, dark, rich chocolate ganache with candied orange peel, some dried flowers, pistachios, some other really cool toppings. And then actually, it's all gonna be served in like a jar or glass. And then we're gonna have a chocolate disc on top of it. And then we're gonna melt that disc with the warm ganache. It's gonna be sick. Obviously, the melting inspired by the melting in the Wizard of Oz, and I thought I'd do a play on that with this dessert, and you guys are gonna love it. So I think the first thing we should get started on is the pistachio cake. Let's do it. So for the pistachio cake, I just went ahead and creamed our butter and our sugar. Make sure the butter's at room temperature, because if it's cold, you end up with butter clumps. Like, worst things can happen, but room temperature butter works way easier. You're gonna have a way easier time. You can cream the butter and the sugar. Then from there, I just went along and added the egg whites and yolks. And now we just have a pretty, it looks a little grainy, but that's just because the yolks separate the sugar and butter a little bit. But from here, it's pretty loose. We're gonna add our sour cream. To the sour cream, I added the almond extract and the orange extract. It's really just a little bit of both. We're just trying to really actually just enhance the pistachio flavor. We're not trying to take away from it at all. It just kind of, I think the orange, the citrus definitely adds to it. And the almond adds to kind of the nuttiness of it, because pistachios sometimes are just a little oily. Just gonna stir it in, just gently. You just wanna make sure you incorporate it all. I remember the first time I went to see Wicked. I've only seen it once, so the time I went to see Wicked, for my birthday. We tried to do a touristy thing, and I was so excited. I had been obsessed with the cast album for like 3 years. I was so excited for Defying Gravity. Okay, it lived up to the expectations. Okay, maybe not as good as Idina Menzel, but like, who is? Pipes of Steel, if I don't say so myself. But so amazing. It was one of my favorite shows of all time, if not my favorite. But back to this. The next thing we need to do is we're just gonna fold in our flour. You could do just about a half at a time. It's not that big a deal. You just want to make sure you incorporate it all. It's harder to do if you add it all at one time. We're just going to add the other half. And we're just going to add all our dry ingredients. So this are ground pistachios. I find a lot of pistachio cakes are very artificial. Like, if you can use pistachio extract, it's hard to find, but you can use it. It's not as good as that kind of fresh pistachio flavor. And actually, I think the fresh pistachios with a little bit of green food coloring give you actually a nicer color than the bright green you find in like commercial pistachio ice cream or cakes. I find it a little off-putting. But now we have this in. We're gonna add our pistachios. We're gonna add our baking soda. We're gonna add our baking powder. And we're gonna add our salt. You can add a little bit of green food coloring if you want. You can kind of just look at the color once you're done folding everything in. And if you think you want it to be a little greener, especially for this dessert, because you're going for the alphabet look, so it is very green. But you can just reassess once you folded it all in. So now that it's all folded in, we're gonna put it in our 9x13 oil pan. I like to do a glass one for this so you can tell when it's golden on the bottom, because it can be hard to tell when it's done. We're gonna put it in here, we're gonna bake it for about 20 minutes in 350, and we'll move on to the next part of our recipe. Let's do it. So for the next part of our dessert, we're gonna be creating the melting chocolate discs. So actually, I tried to simplify it and I took some chocolate, any type of chocolate chips, chocolate bars, anything that's like, doesn't have to be super nice, like Nestle will work. And you'll just take it and in about like 20-second intervals in the microwave, you're just gonna stir until it's melted and smooth, and it comes off a spoon. Then we're gonna take parchment paper, put it on a sheet pan, and we're just gonna pour the chocolate over it. And we're gonna spread it out on the sheet pan. Ooh, this looks delicious. I just really wanna eat this. Who needs to make a disc when you can just eat pure melted chocolate? Like really. It's delicious. Who knew melted chocolate was so good? We're gonna take it out, spread it out into as thin a layer as we can, because when we melt it, we don't want it to be too thick, otherwise it'll take too much ganache to melt. And we're just gonna spread it out. This is pretty thin. And we're just gonna go into the freezer with it. It'll only take like 30 minutes. It doesn't need to be too hard because we want it to be soft enough to melt quickly. But let's do the next part. That was easy. So for our candied orange peels, we're just gonna take our water and our sugar and boil it until the sugar dissolves. And to that, we're gonna add our orange peels that I've cut into different sizes, some big squares, small squares, and some peels just for some variation. And then we'll just cook for 10 minutes until ready. The last thing we have to do today is the chocolate ganache. As we remember, chocolate ganache is super duper simple. All we're gonna do actually is just we have warmed up milk, you can do it in a saucepan, microwave if you have to. And we're just gonna take our chocolate chips and just pour them in. You can even use the same chocolate chips you did for the disc on top. Actually, if you have extra chocolate for the disc, you could actually use it for this. And we're just gonna let the milk soak it for just a couple seconds. And then when we think they've started to melt a little bit, you're just gonna wanna start to stir it together. And you just wanna stir until the milk and chocolate come together. And then you wanna make sure it's steaming hot for when you pour it over the dessert so it actually melts the disc. So what we're gonna do is we might have to warm it up a little before we actually use it for the last part of the dessert, but that's okay, it works. You can actually use leftover ganache if you have any leftover, put it back in the fridge, put it in the microwave right before you wanna use it, and it's perfectly good. I'm gonna finish up stirring this and then we'll be ready to plate. Sounds good. Once again, before I talk about plating and show you the plating and show you the final dessert, I just wanna talk a little bit about the Actors Fund. If you've watched the other videos, you know how amazing an organization they are. But if you haven't, they're an organization that helps artists of any kind, not just in the theater industry, but in music, radio, and so many other industries, with offices in New York, LA, Chicago. They can help in so many different ways with like housing, financial security, senior care, daycare, financial assistance, whatever you need, they can help you with. And they help struggling artists in need, and that is especially important right now. But what I want to talk to you about this week that I don't usually talk about is that in honor of Halloween, they had a recent event called Halloween Is Not Canceled. If you haven't checked it out, it's so awesome. I watched it last night. It was so fun that you should totally watch it. There is a segment by yours truly. You might have to just check it out to see what it is. Hint, hint. It's a dessert about Beetlejuice, but I guess you'll just have to check it out to see. But other than that, it's also such a super awesome video, helping super awesome people who need it right now. If you can, please donate at natebakes.org/theactorsfund. And if you can't, please just help spread the word. The link to donate will be in the bio, along with the recipe, of course, and let's get to plating. Alright, so the last thing we gotta do is plate, so let's get to it. So we have our piping hot chocolate ganache. We're just gonna pour a little bit in, just to coat the bottom of the cup. And then we're gonna take just a round of our cake and just plop it in. Ooh, this moves a little bit. just plop it in. Upside down, however you want. You can crumble it up. You can really do it however you want. I'm just gonna take a little more chocolate ganache. Just a little bit. Then I'm gonna take a couple pieces of fresh orange from that orange I used the peel of. Just because I think it gives a nice brightness because the rest is very heavy. Then we're gonna take some of our candied peels. Different shapes, different sizes, just to get a little variation in there. And we're gonna take a couple actual shelled pistachios. These are super big ones. I don't know where I got these, but they're very nice, flavorful. Just take them. They add a nice crunch, good texture. And then the last thing we're gonna do is add a little bit of salt, just a pinch of salt. Helps also cut through the richness of the chocolate. And then one more pistachio for good luck. And then we're just gonna put the chocolate disc on top. Make sure you don't melt it somehow. Oh, oopsies. Ah, gotta get it up. They start to get very delicate. But yeah, so this is the Wicked dessert. I promise I will show you when it melts at the end. And then if you like this video, go watch other Neat Bakes videos at my YouTube account and follow me on Instagram to see updates and some other stuff that I post. Super engaging, super fun. Promise you'll love it. And like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And how about this time, put in the comments your favorite Broadway show, your favorite song from that Broadway show, and what show you want me to do next. See you guys next time.